I am just a man in recovery doing my very best to share a positive message of love and hope to anyone out there struggling. My name's Danny Shannon. I spent 17 years in the pain, hurt and misery of active addiction, heroin, meth, crack, anything you could get your hands on. I am absolutely blessed to have found recovery on the 15th of September 2009. This is the Kick the Shit podcast. Each week, my guests and I will share our stories around the social and emotional impacts that addiction can have on both ourselves and our loved ones. Let's go!
Let's go! Boom. Welcome to the show, Tonksy. How you doing, brother?
Thank you, brother. That intro gets me every time.
I love that intro. I made it myself. Before we jump into it, Tonks, I want to give a big shout out to Kohani for sponsoring this podcast. Kohani supply NDIS supports and support coordination. They're helping you help yourself. If you need any information or anything from an NDIS supporter, please reach out to Kohani. Much love, Mel and Josh, for that. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to Encapsulator. Guys, I don't know if you are aware, but everything I do basically has been about me growing my online platform, Encapsulator. We provide video journaling programs allowing individuals like you and I to go on a journey of personal development, addiction recovery and discovery. So you can go and download Encapsulator on iOS or Android on all your favorite app platforms. I'd love to hear your support and feedback around that. So today we've got Tonksy on. We've just dropped a post overnight with this transformation that I've got up on screen. If you're listening on the podcast, you can't see this, but big difference there, Tonksy, in 16 months, brother.
Huge difference, bro. Loving every minute of it.
Yeah. So, all right. How you feeling? You done many podcasts, Tonksy? You talked about your story.
No, actually, Dan, this is the first time I'm actually speaking my story, so I thank you for that, mate. But I do run a podcast of my own, as you know, mate. You're an upcoming guest, so so I'm a little bit camera shy, but I'll get there, brother.
Yeah, cool. Interesting. Everyone in the live stream, we appreciate your support and encouragement. You'll also notice I'll drop up this little banner up here. If there's any questions, please stick around to the end. Throughout the interview, we won't be taking any questions. But all right, bro. Braden, where did it all start, mate? Let's take us back. Let's take us back to the beginning. This is your hour, bro. Please feel free to promote and talk about the good things you're doing today. We want to hear about what it was like, maybe growing up, how you ended up in addiction, and what it's like now, mate. So the platform is yours. I'll ask you questions, obviously, to steer it along the way. But if you want to start by going back to growing up, mate.
Yeah, well, mate, I'm the eldest of four. There's me, then a sister, then a brother, then another sister. So I sort of had that role of trying to be the role model, growing up, but it didn't really turn out that way. So we're all to the same mum and dad. My parents split up when I was around the age of 12. From that moment on, I was sort of like my old man was very, very strict, especially when it came to drugs and everything like that. Like we weren't even allowed to wear thongs at the bloody beach. You know what I mean? He was very, very strict in that way, in case there was a dirty needle or something like that. But sort of when mum and dad split, I sort of, in my eyes at the time, I sort of was given that freedom because mum wasn't the strict parent, Mum just was happy if we were happy, no matter what we were doing, sort of thing. And unfortunately, she around the age of 12, 13, when I was 12 or 13, she actually started her road to addiction. So she was a very, very bad addict for a lot of years. I think that, I hate to say it, but I believe that that's part of the reason why I went down that track as well. But yeah, that was just the beginning. So, yeah, my old man grew up in a very hard upbringing in a hard town in the northern suburbs of Hobart, Tasmania. He had he was raised by his mother and his stepfather. His stepfather was a bad alcoholic and a violent man, and that sort of bred into my dad. So my dad had a reputation, a fairly big reputation through, my teenage years of a violent pub fighter, and I believe that I had a lot of anger bred into me from a young age. I think anger was a big part of my, like for falling into addiction. But at the age of 15, I was drinking in pubs with dad and punching on with blokes his age. I wasn't even old enough to be in a pub, but here I am. Just sort of following in dad's footsteps. Thankfully, dad's grown out of that now. He's a lovely old fella now, and he's great grandfather and everything like that. But there came a time then when there was a 8 to 12 month period where there was domestic violence orders between mum and dad, and me and my siblings weren't allowed to see dad for that period of time. So that was around the age of about 15, 16. And in that time, in Tasmania, ecstasy had just hit the streets, So I was, at that age, popping pills and, smoking heaps of weed and, and not being able to see dad as him being the strict parent in the household, that was sort of like my freedom, mum.
You living with mum? You living with mum then, yeah?
I was living with mum, yeah. So we there was orders that we weren't allowed to see dad just through domestic violence things and whatnot. But I'd rather not go too deep into that. But yeah. So during that 12-month period where we weren't allowed to see dad, that's when I started to go off the rails. And at this stage, ice hadn't even been heard of in Tasmania, mate. It wasn't until years later that sort of came around. But the ecstasy and the and the old school speed and yeah, lots of weed. And yeah, that was sort of so when I sort of hit the age of 18, I I was buying, a couple of hundred pingers of a weekend at a cheap price and hitting the nightclubs and making a buck, my head was growing bigger and bigger every weekend, I'd be getting in fights in nightclubs all the time, and I'd ended up having life bands from all the nightclubs throughout Hobart, and they still stand today. Even years later, I tried to get in there about 12 months ago, and they still remember me face, So, yeah, so that was a sort of pain in the ass, but at the same time, so that was like, well, I'm 31 now, and that was around the age of 18, 19, 20. So yeah, 10, 12 years ago now. But yeah, they definitely stick to their life bands, mate. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, right. They don't know the good stuff out there in recovery, do they?
No, that's right, mate. They just remember that awful
that's right.
person that I was, I guess.
Right. Like, might be better off for you anyway, staying away from there at the moment, mate.
Oh, definitely. I've definitely grown out of that over the years, mate. I went on to have 3 beautiful daughters. Wow. My youngest only being 6 weeks old. So, yeah. But anyway, it sort of went from there, mate. Mind you, at the age of 16, I got with my children's mother. We had a bit of fun together. And then at the age of 19, I had my first daughter, Amali.
Amali?
Amali, I know you've got an Amalia.
Yeah, wow, holy shit.
Yeah, spelt the same way as well, without the A.
What a beautiful name. So what is it? A-M-A-L-I-E?
I. No, just I.
Wow.
Yeah. She's beautiful, mate. She stands nearly 6 foot tall already. She's taken after her old man.
How old is she now?
But she's just turns 11 tomorrow.
That's crazy. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, so
happy, Yeah, cool. Go on.
So she was born at the age of 19, and a couple of years later, my second daughter Harlow was born. At the age of about 22, I was. So Well, at that age also was when ice first hit the streets of Tassie. You know, I mean, it was everywhere in the mainland at this, as we call it, the mainland. If you're from Tassie, it was everywhere in the mainland at the time. You sort of heard of it and stuff, but there was none of those warning signs. You know, like that it'll wreck your family, or it's this or it's that. You know, it was just like, oh wow, you can smoke this stuff and you get high like speed. You know, it was cool. Like, yeah, the years later, it's pretty much proved that wrong anyway. But yeah, anyway, I picked up the pipe, mate. We were living. So me and the kid's mother and our two daughters, we were living in a beautiful 3-bedroom home in the suburb that I grew up in, which is Claremont, in the northern suburbs of Tassie, Hobart. And so we're living in this beautiful home, and directly across the road was a couple of mates that I knew. They were starting to get into the ice, and you know, one of them particularly was selling lots of it. And so on the sly, mate, I was actually working at the time. I'll take it back a little bit. I'm a sheet metal worker by trade. I'd finished my trade by this stage. I was working as a metal fabricator. I was doing an arvo shift, so I'd start at 4 p.m. of an arvo and finish around midnight. Well, I'd leave at 4 o'clock to say that I was going to work, and I'd go into a block and pull back up and park the car out the back of the house across the road, you know. And I was missing work. Before I knew it, I'd lost my job. I had no idea of the come down with ice either, you know. Like, so a couple of times, mate, I flipped out, you know, but just from the come down, you know, I'd blow all my pay on it, lie to the missus that, you know, that I'd spent it elsewhere. And cut a long story short, I ended up coming unstuck. And, you know, she ended up seeing my bank statement and everything like that, and seeing that all these transfers were to this guy across the road, and she put two and two together and worked it out. Well, like, over a couple of day period, mate, she packed up and left me, and that hit home so bad, you know. And mind you, this was after a lot of, you know, trauma. I give her over these. It was a 6-month period that I was using at this time. First time ever picking the pipe up, and I was on it every day for 6 months. So it changed me. I lost a heap of weight. Lost my job, and eventually lost my kid's mum. So that threw a big spanner in the works, mate. It's sort of I experienced depression properly at that stage. You know, the suicidal thoughts. I mean, I never ever had a full-on suicide attempt, but man, I was close a few times. You know, I'd be there Googling easiest ways to kill myself and all that, just after losing her, and realizing that I was the key factor to the relationship breakdown. You know, so it hit hard, mate. I ended up.
How old were you then?
22, 23. No, it's 22, 23. Yeah.
Children, was there then? By then, Marley and Hayden.
Children were, so I had a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old.
Yeah, so there was 2 children.
Sorry, a 3-year-old. Yeah, she would have been 3. Yeah, and so I sort of had to go, you know, and that stopped me. I didn't touch the stuff for a good couple of years. I despised it, you know. I ended up finally finding my feet again, and getting my own rental property, and ended up getting the kids back 50% of the time, you know. So I was having them week on, week off, and my life was bliss again, you know.
I just ask you, like you said, you managed to stop. Okay, you pulled up, but you despise it because you just lost the missus and access, or maybe access to the kids initially. Did you stop completely, or did you swap the witch for the bits? Like, did you start? What were you doing? Because I know you started off on the pills. When you say you stopped, you put it down. Did you really stop? That's what I want to know first of all. Like, was it everything? Were you drinking?
Yeah, no, definitely. I never ever stopped everything. Just the ice. I just put the pipe down. You know, definitely 100% put the pipe down for those couple of years.
Yeah, sure.
But at the same time, you know, after a few months' time, when I realised that she'd moved on with her life, and you know, and I wasn't ready to move on with my life. I was still madly in love with her, you know, and I didn't want it to end there, but it did, and it did for the better, you know. She bettered her life from there on in, and but yeah, I definitely didn't stop everything. I went from there to, all right, started to hit up the town again on the weekend, and before you knew it, I was, you know, selling 1,000 pills again of a weekend, and you know, thinking I was king shit with coming home with pockets full of scrunched up cash like this, and you know, I believe what's the word? I created a reputation for myself as the bloke with the pills, you know, the bloke that no matter what, I'd always have them, you know. And I mean, it was a horrible reputation, but I thought I was king shit at the time. I really did. It's disgraceful. It really is, you know. But yeah, I then went on to, so that lasted for a little while, you know, out on the town every weekend with you know, selling the pills and also taking them as well. You know, some weekends, mate, I'd take 10 pingers in a night, you know, and I'd be triple dropping, and then a couple of hours later when it wore off, I'd triple drop again, and then, you know, just cooked. But anyway, I ended up, you know, my old man's back was in my life pretty deep at this time, pulling me into gear, you know, helped me get a place. I ended up getting the two bedroom house for me and the girls, me and the children, and you know, that's when I finally did pull my head in a bit. You know, I couldn't afford to be looked at by the police or anything like that. Now I've got the kids back, so there was a good 12 months there, Dan, where I was completely off everything. I was working again full time. I was you know, had a nice, beautiful little place with beautiful furniture, and yeah, had the kids back, and I had another partner at this time too, which was just she wasn't in there for very long, but she helped me sort of get my life back on track. Well, it came one day, mate. This was 12 months sort of into having my own house and whatnot. There came a day where I had this feeling come over me. It was like, I feel like having a puff, just one. I'm just gonna have one. You know, and there was a few boys in the area that had it, and you know, it was starting to, you know, become a big thing in the suburb where I was at. And I thought, you know, stuff, and it was cheap. It was way cheaper than, you know, a few years ago when I used to be on it. It had dropped to, you know, very cheap. And I thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna go and see this fella. I'm just gonna get 1 point off him, and he used to blow pipes up as well. So I got a pipe and a point off him, and I went home in the laundry by myself, smoked this pipe up, and mate, I remember the feeling I got over me. My whole scalp went tight. It was like, and I remembered, wow, that's what it feels like, you know. And that was it, mate. I was back on it from there on. Within no time at all, I was ticking up, you know, 8 balls of it, and started to, and I can speak freely about this shit because I was caught for it all. So the police know everything about this, but happily speak freely about it. I was ticking up an 8 ball, and you know, selling enough to support my habit, so it wasn't costing me nothing. Next thing I know, mate, you know, I met a girl that lived in Melbourne, which had a connection over there. So I was sort of going back and forth from Tassie to Melbourne, seeing her, and sort of met up with this guy in Melbourne who could give me big amounts of it for cheaper than it was worth in Tassie. So I jumped straight on the bandwagon there, mate, and you know, I won't say amounts or anything like that, but I was bringing it back to Tasmania, tripling my money. Before I knew it, you know, I'd gone from ticking an 8 ball to selling my own ounces in no time at all, you know. And over a 2 or 3 month period, mate, my head grew bigger than it's ever been. You know, I thought I was this and that, and the kingpin drug dealer for the area and whatnot. And then I also in that time as well, and I've actually done a video on this, and it got a fair bit of traction on TikTok. But I was in Melbourne with my brother at the time, and I'd never ever touched a needle, mate, up until this day. And I was always inquisitive about it because, as I said at the start, you know, my mum had gone downhill real bad, and she was on that bandwagon, you know, and I was always inquisitive, you know, I always wondered what it felt like, you know, and I was destined to do it one day, you know. Well, there came this day, I was over there with my brother, we was going to watch a Kevin Hart stand-up comedy show. It was my birthday weekend, so my brother had shouted me over there for my birthday, and long story short, we met this guy. I won't say his name out of respect for his family, but we met this fella, and ironically, he was from Tassie as well. We didn't know him at all, but he was from Tasmania as well, and we sort of shacked up with him, and he had a connection over there to get hold of some ice and whatnot. So we ended up, we were there for 5 days. 3 or 4 of these days, we were with this guy, you know, non-stop on the pipe, and he was an IV user, this young fella. You know, so I was watching him do it and stuff, and it was like, you know, I didn't end up doing it until the last day. We couldn't get any ice over there, and he had this connection that he could get a bit of heroin off this bloke, and this was my experience with heroin, mate. It was a one and done type thing with me, and it scared the absolute shit out of me. But what happened was we ended up going and getting it. I believe it was 4 points. You could get 4 for 100 or something like that at the time off this guy, and so we went halves in it. And I just thought, and my brother was absolutely devastated with me. He's, "You're a fucking idiot. Why are you doing it, Braden? You know, like why would you use a needle? You know, look at our mum." Like that was his sort of, you know. And anyway, I was just like shrugged him off. I just thought, fucking, well, it's my birthday. Why not? I'll let this guy mix it up, and you know, it's a bit of a trigger warning, guys, but I sort of let him do me. I looked away, and mate, I just remember, like I say to me, I don't remember much at all. I just remember trying to stand up and just blacking out. The next thing I know, I woke up. We were in this tiny little hotel room. It was just a little backpacker's place, you know. There was 2 single beds and a desk in there. It was not much bigger than a jail cell, you know. Anyway, I woke up laying on the floor in between the beds with 3 ambulance officers standing over the top of me. And don't get me wrong, mate, I woke up feeling amazing, like the most euphoric feeling going through me.
Yeah.
But I looked over at my little brother, Joel. He's sitting on the bed next to me, and he's absolutely bawling his eyes out. And I remember, like, I laughed at him. I was like, "What the hell are you crying for? What's going on?" I was just like, why are these ambulance officers here, you know?
Yeah, you were dead. You were dead.
I was dead, mate. Yeah, for about 10 minutes. I found out later on, for about 10 minutes, my little brother was pumping my chest. He had the ambulance on the phone, you know, telling him what to do, pump my chest, give me mouth to mouth, and yeah, brought me back, obviously. But I had no idea, mate. I still didn't have any idea until the next morning. Like, I refused to go to the hospital with the ambulance guys, mate. I was just like, no, I'm fine, you know, just go, leave me alone. I ended up sort of jumping up into bed and getting all comfy and going to sleep. And, well, I woke up the next morning, mate, and the guy that I did it with, as I said, I went first, so I don't remember even seeing him when I woke up or anything. Apparently he was there in the room, my brother said, but I can't remember. I was fucking zonked. Like, well, I woke up the next morning, mate, and laying down, I was on one bed, my brother was on the other bed, and laying down in between us on the floorboards was this fella. And mind you, he was only 21 years old. He's there, and he's got the brown fluid running out of his mouth, and I thought he was just asleep for starters. But yeah, sorry, I woke up to a knock on the door. It was 10 a.m. and it was the guys telling us to check out. We had to check out. So I woke up like, shit, Joel, wake up quick. We've got to clean this room up. You know, there was fucking pipes and bags and everything laying everywhere in there. So I've tried to wake him up. I said, like, wake up, mate, wake up. I'll give him a few slaps. And I've seen he had a bit of, you know, brown stuff coming out his mouth. I just thought, oh, he's buggered, you know. I didn't realise he wasn't alive, you know. And anyway, I was sort of left him there. So we kept cleaning up, got the room sort of clean. I was like, for God's sake, wake up. And I've sort of grabbed him. I've picked him up sort of like around here because he was sort of laying on his stomach. Picked him up around here, just lifted him up to his feet, and he was just floppy. And then I realised he was cold, and he wasn't breathing, and I just freaked out. I was like, fuck. ring an ambulance, he's not breathing. And then my little brother's like, this is what happened to you last night, you know? I was like, shit. So I was laying back down and yeah, it was called the ambulance, mate. I just went into pure shock, like, and to this day, you know, I owe my little brother my life. I truly do, you know. I stood there, and me being the older brother, it should have been me, but I stood there in shock, mate, and watched my little brother try and revive this guy for 10, 15 minutes and nothing. You know, he was, God knows how long he'd been gone for during the night. It was, and yeah, mate, that was my experience with heroin. The ambulance ended up coming, and yeah, sorry, mate.
Yeah, mate, just to hear, you know, like, I can't imagine how they were being. Thank you so much for sharing that and raising the awareness with people too.
Yeah,
so, you know, like, basically, mate, when you told me how much you used, if it was 2 points, yeah, of course you're going to drop. And of course you're going to die, like your first time.
It was like a yellow chalky texture to it. It was, yeah.
Yeah, look, mate, I've actually, since I've been in recovery, it's been 14 years, 2 months. There's probably been 100 people dead that I've known, people that
I've heard you say.
people that have drugs, you know, who are dead from heroin overdose. Like 99% of people die from heroin. It's, you know, occasionally there might be someone taking their life or someone alcohol-related death, but heroin is a major killer, or fentanyl these days. The opiate stuff, it just takes lives. It's not something to fuck with, mate. And your poor bro too, mate. I can only imagine what it'd be like.
Traumatized him.
I've had broken ribs from someone giving me, you know, CPR. And by the way, like that, what he did for you for that 10 minutes was kept the blood circulating for your brain. Otherwise, you'd be brain dead.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
but,
thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you know, yeah, you're right, bro. I've listened to everything that you've said. I've watched all your content and stuff, Dan, and like you are a fucking miracle, bro. You really are. You're the OG, bro, of it all, you know. And I love watching this shit every day. It's amazing, like. But yeah. Anyway,
bro.
so
Look, I've just found a voice on social media, and now I get to give other people a voice too. You know, we're all on the same journey, bro. Definitely. I just want to say this, you know, like I literally know thousands of people amongst us in my town who are killing it in recovery, living their best lives. And just for some reason, because I started telling my stories, it kind of blew up a little bit. But because of that, yeah, but there's so many people out there absolutely killing it, you know, living their best life because of recovery, mate. So
yeah,
and you're
and you know, you've got this platform, Sober Squad, mate. That is so inspiring. You know, it's unreal. It really is. Yeah.
Well, your post last night's got over 8,000 interactions on it just from
no, it's a little bit. Gives me a little bit of anxiety, to be honest. But
yeah, but I always tell people too, like on those posts that are really blowing up like that, don't try and respond to all the comments because it'll just give you anxiety. Just drop a comment there saying thank you so much for all the support and encouragement. Yeah, all right, man. Look, fuck. Thank God you're here, and bless old mate who didn't make it. You know, rest in peace. And we're here representing for him as well. You know, and his family.
Definitely, mate. Yeah. Definitely, you know, and I would love to. So many people know this guy. I would love to say his name, but out of respect for his family, I won't. But he was such a happy-go-lucky guy that was just stuck in a rut, you know. And it's so heartbreaking. He was 21 years old, you know, and it was the first time he'd ever tried heroin as well. So it was just goes to show, doesn't it? You know. So we had no idea on the amount to use or anything like that, you know. He was doing 2 points of ice. He was doing 2 points of ice and nothing. So
half a point would have been too much, man. You know, at that point, like, and you had maybe 2 points each. Fuck, you got no chance, bro. No way ever.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's gonna survive that, you know, without a habit. All right, brother. Tell us how you kicked the shit, Tonks. Tell us when did you kick the shit? I know there's a bit of a story behind this. We really look forward to learning more about what you're doing today. And how did you kick the shit, mate?
Yeah, well, just the back end of the downside to my life was I eventually split up with this girl in Melbourne because I would fly home every once a month for a weekend to see my kids, and I was home for a weekend, and I just had this funny feeling that she was cheating on me and whatnot. But yeah. Anyway, found out she was cheating on me with this guy that I'd linked up with, that I was getting the stuff through. So that relationship went to shit. My old man wouldn't let me fly back over there. All the stuff was over there. He wouldn't let me fly back because he knew what I was like. I was a bit of a screw loose at the time, and he thought I would have got killed by these guys. But we ended up going back over, and that's when I really, really, really hit the needle with the ice.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So you ended up getting.
So I linked up with a guy in Ballarat, and yeah, just it ended up just going downhill real bad. I come home after about 3 weeks of a 3-week bender over there, and I mean I was staying awake for 8-9 days at a time and going into full hallucinations, and paranoid. Yeah, sorry, cut the story back again. I'll just quickly get this out, Den. So when I was bringing the stuff back, this is what I wanted to talk about, what I got caught for. So when I was bringing the stuff back and forth, but back from Melbourne to Tasmania, I did it 4 weeks in a row, and then on the 5th week, I went over and everything went to shit. The guy was in Sydney. I couldn't get hold of him, and I had to catch a flight home. So I caught a flight home, and I had $20,000 cash on me. I pulled up at Hobart Airport, and I was walking along the tarmac into the airport, and 2 feds pulled me straight off the tarmac and pulled me into this side room and fully strip searched me. And their excuse was that I had a warrant for failure to appear to court. But what it was, somebody had just spoken about, dobbed me in. So yeah, long story short, there they didn't give me any drugs. They got my phone and seen that I'd been doing deals and whatnot, but couldn't do me for trafficking. They ended up doing me for just selling. They raided my house. They got me with a 12-plant marijuana setup, and also a heap of glassware and whatnot. And so anyway, long story short, there I ended up going to court for it. And had a great legal team and ended up getting slapped with a 12-month suspended sentence, huge fine, this and that. But I skipped jail because I didn't have a criminal record, so it was a first offence sort of thing. But I skipped jail, ended up with a 12-month wholly suspended sentence. So that lingered, and with a 3-year good behaviour. So that was lingering there over the next 3 years, Anyway, like I said, I split with this girl. I ended up going off the rails there in Melbourne, wrapped up a heap of lick sticks in Melbourne and back in Tassie. I got back to Tassie. I was so fried, mate. I'm 6'5" in height, and I weighed 68 kilo. And that was in the photo. That was the before photo. I was 68 kilo at 6'5". It was like horrible looking weight, But anyway, I came back and to cut the story down a little bit more, my family had given up on me, And as I understand these days, you can't help an addict unless they want to be helped. Unless they want to do it themselves, Like there's no point trying to help an ice addict if they're not ready. And I wasn't ready, mate. I was heartbroken over the being cheated on with this ex-partner in Melbourne and whatnot. So I decided to just continue the journey, mate. I ended up homeless and so sunken under, mate. It was horrible. And then I had a good mate of mine. He was part of a bike club, part of a pretty well-known bike club in Tasmania, motorcycle club, and he was living at their clubhouse. And he reached out to me and he said, "Tonksy, bro, we've got a place. I've seen you, how fucked you are. I've seen, you look shocking. We've got a place here for you, bro." And they pulled me in. I ended up living at this particular motorcycle clubhouse, and I ended up living there for the next 4 months. Well, the idea was to get me clean, but it didn't go that way, mate. I ended up getting stuck straight back into the selling side of it, because I had the reputation as a dealer and I could move it, you know. So ended up getting stuck back into it. Cut the story down again. The club didn't last that long. There ended up being a sort of in-club war, and I won't sort of speak too much about that, but I ended up, you know, gun to the head, you know, had my life on the line, and yeah, so I just walked away from it, mate. You know, I just thought, fuck this. My whole life flashed in front of my eyes this day, you know, when I had the gun pulled on me, and, you know, by these bad motherfuckers. So I was like, nah, that's it, you know. But I seen my children, I seen everything, just within a flash, and it was like, that's it, I've got to get away. And got away from the motorcycle club, but that didn't stop there. I eventually ended up completely homeless, mate. You know, I had nowhere to sleep or anything like that. All I was worried about was my next hit and the pokies. You know, I'd do up a bloody couple of points of rock salt, mate, just to sell, just so I could have $50 to put in the pokies. You know, so the gambling side of it was pretty bad as well. But yeah, and then I'd racked up a lot of charges along the way, just petty stuff, you know. But because I had this 12-month suspended sentence hanging over my head, I ended up with a Sheila that was just as bad of addict as I am, and she we ended up having some DV orders between us, just because, you know, we'd just get on the stuff and clash like nothing, you know. I was attacked with a knife and everything from her, and it was hectic. But I ended up on the run there for a little bit. The police would come around and, you know, ended up with a heap of DVO breaches, and I was on the run for a couple of weeks. I remember they chased me one day up on foot up into the bush in the suburb of Rokeby. And now people that are watching this from Tassie will know where I'm talking about. It's a really, really rough area, mate. There's burnt out cars everywhere. And I ran from the police this one day, and you know, there was about 5 of them on foot chasing me through the bush, and I hid underneath this burnt out car, and like it was like I had no room at all, you know. I laid there, I tried to not even breathe, you know. It's just like, and they're walking around, like I could hear their footsteps around me, and I was absolutely peaking. But I ended up getting away. I then ended up at my brother's house for a bit, and then over the next sort of 2 weeks, the police sort of went to my father's house, my uncle's house, my brother's house. They were right on my tail. Everywhere they went, I'd just left, you know. But they ended up getting me. Getting me one night. I'd gone back to this girl's house stupidly. I was just lonely, I think, and I really just needed a good sleep and a bed, you know. So I went back to this girl's house, and during the middle of the night, they bashed the door down, and I woke up to the whole bedroom of police around me, and you're under arrest. So yeah, that's when I went to prison. I spent a week in the Hobart Remand Centre, and then was shifted over the river to Risdon Prison, where I thought that I would be serving the 12-month suspended sentence. So it took me a couple of weeks to settle in over there, and but I soon sort of found my feet. There was a lot of fellas in there that I knew. I won't lie, I was absolutely shitting myself going in there, just because I was part of this motorcycle club, you know, and there was heaps of other rival motorcycle club members in there as well. So I was a little bit, you know, thinking shit, you know. But my old man, you know, having his ways, you know, he just said to me, mate, as soon as you walk in there, he goes, if anything happens, you just go off like a helicopter and make your mark, you know, punch anybody in arm's reach just to let them know that don't fuck with you, sort of thing. So I had that going through my head, and I remember driving in the prison van in there, and I was like, absolutely shit myself, thinking it's about to happen. I was shaking. I was, you know, and then I hopped off the bus, walked in the prison, and there's a couple of old mates, and, you know, they used a bag of food for me to help me settle in, and then ended up doing my prison time pretty easy. But I was still on remand for up to the first 4 months. Then I finally got sentenced to court, and they, because I'd done my prison so well and everything like that, and I'd cleaned myself up, and you know, I'd done programs in prison, and you know, and I had a good family waiting for me on the outside and everything like that. The judge, you know, he could obviously see the change in me. I'd put on so much weight while I was in prison as well, so he seen the good in me, and wholly and resuspended the rest of his sentence. So I was let out after 4 months. But mate, my prison journey definitely turned my life on its head. Like, I turned it upside down. I was so positive in there. Like I said, I put on a heap of weight. I believe I found the Lord in there, mate. I would read the Bible every day, and I learned a lot about that sort of stuff, and I still sort of follow it these days. I mean, I don't go to church or anything like that, but I believe in a higher power above. But so I got out. And I met.
Is this where your recovery started? Was it?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
This is the part of the beginning of the 16 months. The first 4 months was in prison. Is that right?
No. So I got out, and that's when I met my beautiful partner. My beautiful partner, which I'm still with today, which we've just had a baby. Shout out to Beck. She's my absolute rock, mate.
Yeah,
But so I got out. I'd been out for a couple of weeks, and I was out at a local pub having a beer, and because I still have a beer. I've never had a problem with alcohol or anything like that. I still enjoy a beer with the mates and whatnot. It was just ice was my addiction, But so I got out. I met Beck. We sort of kicked it off straight away. I told her I'd been out of prison for a few months. I'd been out for 2 weeks, so it's a bit of a joke there between us. But she'd never ever been. She was, she held a government job. She worked for the government and everything like that, and she drove a nice car, and it was my sort of dream girl. But sort of sugarcoated it a little bit at the start, but she soon clicked on. But mate, she had never even seen ice or anything. She was completely against drugs. She'd never even seen it in real life or anything. But I had a relapse when I got out of jail. For a few months there, I got back on it. I don't know why or why I did it or anything like that. I ended up putting the needle back in my arm after getting out of jail. To cut the story short, I sort of spent a few months on that, and then our relationship broke down pretty big, mate. And she got to the stage where she just couldn't help me anymore. She felt like she was enabling me to do it, and I sort of felt like that too. She felt like she was just there to help me with my children, and like I didn't care about my children and things like that. But one day, mate, she just packed up and left, and she had family in Darwin, so she just packed up without me even knowing. She just on a plane and gone, and with no return ticket. And mate, it hit me so hard. Like I said, I'd never ever met a woman like this before. Like she's the most beautifulest person inside and out. But and then when she left, mate, I went the first few weeks after her leaving. I probably slept a day within a few weeks. On it hard. And then I thought to myself, I have to do something. I'm not going back down that road again. So I have my beautiful mum that found recovery 3 years ago. She lives here on the Gold Coast. She said to me, mate, get on a fucking plane, get your ass up here, and I'm going to pull you into gear. And so I did that, mate. I jumped on a plane the next day. And out of every single person in this world, my mother was the last person I thought would ever be able to help me, because she was so bad, And mate, she got me up here. Yeah, she got me up here and got me fed me up, give me a roof over my head for a couple of months, and then I eventually, got a place of my own, and so within about 5 months of me living here, mind you, Beck and I still spoke every day. I went to Darwin for a week. She came to the Gold Coast for a week. We were still together. Within 5 months' time, Beck packed up and moved here to the Gold Coast with me. We've now got a beautiful apartment here on the Gold Coast. I have the children back. My children also moved here with their mum and her partner, so they live here as well. Everything's just fallen into place, mate. We've had a beautiful little girl, Darcy, 5 weeks ago. Mate, and I thought, I watch you guys. I watch you guys with your content and the motivational things with addiction and stuff like that. Especially TikTok Gary and blokes like that. They're very inspiring to me. And so one day I just thought, you know, fuck it, I'm going to start spreading my story, you know, just through videos, just bits and pieces. Started doing videos, mate, and then started to get a fair bit of traction on TikTok, and the rest is history. Here I am, 16 months later, mate, going strong. I run a podcast, Tonksy Media podcast, with, you know, stories of redemption, or pretty much just anybody with an interest in life story. It doesn't have to be about drugs or anything like that, but I just like a good story that's going to grab the audience, you know.
How many episodes have you created?
First season, mate. I've done about 8 episodes so far. So, and that's on YouTube. The links in all my bios. Yeah.
Well done.
But I also.
Hang on a second. I just want to ask you 2 questions. One thing you mentioned, okay, earlier on was you know, there's no help for somebody who doesn't want help, right? And as you were saying that, and I completely get that. But I want to ask you something here. Like you stated, and this is for anyone out there who feels like, especially if you're a loved one, and you're wondering, is there anything you can do? And as from Tonksy's perspective, or an addict, it feels like there is nothing anyone can do. What I want to ask you, Tonksy, on that is, all the love and support, all the people that did try and help you, those people that you said there's no point in trying to help because I'm not ready. Would you say that today, being in recovery, you remember all that help that they tried to give you? And like, to the loved ones who feel like all their efforts are going to waste, what would you say to them? What do you think?
Oh, mate, 100%. You know, and it actually, I got a message just the other day. You know, she's probably going to kill me for saying this, but I got a message from the kid's mum. Okay, and it hit me so hard, Dan. It was like getting hit around the head with a fucking baseball bat. You know, it hit me so hard. She just reminded me of the trauma that I'd put her through. You know, just stupid things when I'd be coming down off the gear. You know, this is my first ever episode on the gear. You know, like I said at the start, with the kids' mum. You know, like I'd do stupid shit and tell her that I'm going to kill myself, and I'd climb up the tree in the backyard with a fucking rope around my neck. And threaten her. I was never going to do it, but I'd just threaten her that I was going to kill myself. You know, like just, and it really hit home. You know,
Selfish, eh? We're so selfish, and again to the loved ones too.
Yeah.
Like I got it, and Tonksy's admitting this right now. Like I was the most selfish person in the world because all I cared about was me and getting stoned. Like I didn't even care about me; it was just about that next fix. So sorry,
Yeah.
go on. Selfish,
yeah. Yeah, no, mate. So, you know, and it really hit me home. It really hit home to me. It made me realise, like, fuck, I actually haven't given myself the opportunity to. I think I'm at the stage of recovery now where I'm actually starting to realise the trauma that I have put my loved ones through, you know, and like at the end of the day, mate, I mean, sorry's just a word. You know, I mean, she can see me now doing well, you know, but she said to me, you know, like a couple of my videos have triggered her. A couple of the videos that I've put up have triggered her and triggered her trauma and stuff, and it really hit me home, you know. And I still, at the moment, haven't had the chance to show my genuine apology. I mean, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything. You know, she can see that I'm doing well. She's proud of me now. We have an awesome relationship now. She gets along awesome with the kid, with my partner now. You know, I get along awesome with her partner. Well, like we actually get along really well now. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, all I can really say is sorry. You know, I was so selfish. I really was, you know, but I mean, it was all part of the journey, you know. But yeah, I suppose just know that I do acknowledge the trauma that I have put everybody through.
Tonksy, I love what you just said. I just want to touch on that as well. Like, you're 18 months into it, 16 months into it, and there is no words, I believe, that we can say. And I don't even think it's like it takes.
What do you say? You know, like,
it's taking the piss by even trying to say something. We show those people over the next 10 years through our actions, you know, not through our words. You know, maybe in 10 years' time, your words will hold merit, but trust me, our words, I believe, mean nothing at this point. You know, I need to show through my actions and living a better way. You know. And
100%.
yeah, I think that's the way we do this, you know. And don't do anything with expectation too. You can't. Everyone heals in different times, and maybe some people will never forgive you, you know. And that's okay too.
Yeah,
Like that's you know.
yeah.
So yeah, that
And I
it's
suppose
okay.
that's part of your, I suppose that's part of your punishment at the end of the day. Hey, like
Yeah,
if you're
or
never
maybe
forgiven
it's
by
part of
people.
your learning. Maybe it's just part of your growth and part of your learning too, rather than thinking of it as punishment. Like I truly believe you talked about a higher power. I truly believe everything in this world happens for a reason, and we are exactly where we're meant to be right now at this minute. In relationships, the trauma, the gold as well. Like we're exactly where we're meant to be, and you can't change that, bro. That's
Yeah,
set in stone. Like that's going to happen regardless, and we just need to
yeah.
embrace it. And you're doing good things now with your podcast. You're living the dream. You, mate. I don't know how you got so blessed as to have the family follow you. Now you got the kids up there in the Gold Coast, mate. You're living. You
I
really
know,
are in a
mate. Yeah, and it's such a beautiful place up here, Like, I mean, a lot of people say Tasmania's beautiful. I mean, it is to somebody that's not from there. When you're born and bred there, and and I have a horrible reputation there, mate, as a drug addict, as a junkie, as a drug dealer. The justice system's molds me like I'm a fucking cat toy. So I'm just blessed to be where I am today. Um, have be so loved by the people around me, and most of all, be in recovery, bro.
And I also appreciate you sharing. And let's just touch on that for a moment. I come from a total abstinence model. I have not had a drink or a drug for 14 years, 2 months, and 3 days. And but I mean, who's
I love
counting?
how you
But
say that. I love it.
yeah, but thanks, Tonksy. But one of the things I love, and certainly on this journey, is like recovery. Like no one can place what recovery means for anybody else. I truly believe that. Once upon a time, I was truly brainwashed by the 12-step fellowship, which I stand by entirely. But I love to sort of explore and open up my world. Like I reckon today, the recovery equals our level of happiness. And for so many people outside my 12-step fellowship recovery, which is, by the way, it's Narcotics Anonymous, is where I got brainwashed by that stuff. I've learned that, like recovery comes in all different shapes and forms. And for you, Tonksy, and for you, it sounds like you said alcohol. I hear that you say it's not your problem, but for you, you're happy, and occasionally you might have a drink. But when you
Yeah,
identify as clean in 16 months, you're talking about from drugs and particularly from meth.
definitely, mate. Definitely. I've always been a social drinker. I've never been an alcoholic or anything like that. It's like, I'm a tradie, mate. So, I'd knock off after work and I'd have couple of beers with the boys, Um, never ever been a compulsive, and luckily, and I understand alcohol is it's like the mother of all fuck ups. It's the key
It is
too,
a
and I understand that.
very tricky. Yeah, be careful. I always say it to everyone, even though I support everyone on their own journeys, like just be, always like, and don't get complacent too. I think you got complacent there one stage back. I think you said something where you thought you were doing right. You got out of prison, you pulled up. Next minute, you're back on it, and mate. Like our addictions in the car park doing push-ups, just waiting for you to give it just one tiny little inch, and what happened to you 4 months later, you lost everything again. So yeah,
Exactly.
don't
Yeah.
get
Yep.
liver, mate.
Yeah.
Well, all right, talk to you. Look, we're getting towards the end of it. We're gonna, guys. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to start getting them ready, and I will go back through. I see a bunch of comments have come through. First, before we go to that part, is there anything else you want to share with us? Have we missed anything?
No,
Yeah.
mate. I'd just like to say, mate, I'm absolutely inspired by you, Dan. Everything you do,
Thanks, sir.
and yeah, just keep doing you, bro. I'm very, very headstrong myself. I know that, like I said, it's not just the first time that I've gone off the rails and lost it all. This is my third attempt at recovery, mate, and I really feel, I'm in the right headspace. We've just had a newborn baby. I'm 31 years old. I really feel like it's completely gone out of my life now. And yeah, I'm blessed, mate. I just can't wait to see what the future holds.
It's so good. You know one thing, and to everyone out there listening, I think this is such a great point about Tonksy and some of the stuff he said in this interview. Is on 2 occasions he spoke about being, he said, a big head, feeling like on top of ego, like you were selling. And I think it's so important to be able to acknowledge that, first of all, Tonksy. That means you're gonna. I feel like the ability for you to be able to say that out loud is really, really therapeutic. It means you're always going to be able to keep, because you've got to be careful of that shit, in recovery too. Let's just say, for example, I'll tell you, let me give one little scenario to people, why steroids, okay? I'm not judging anyone who uses steroids. We can do whatever you want. I've never touched a steroid, and the reason I just say it is because I'm in the gym every day, right? But what I have seen in working in recovery for 13 years, but is guys who get on the juice, for example, or they start looking really good and they start looking in the mirror and going, oh yeah, I'm mad, and it starts going to our head. Next minute, they're fucking shooting up again, So maybe that's a poor example. I just want to touch on that because I've never seen someone pull it off, and it's because ego's a killer, bro. Ego is a real fucking killer.
You want to know something? You want to know something?
Yeah, please do.
That's so, mate. When I first got out of prison and I just got with Beck, I started to hit the juice. I started to get into the gym and hit the juice, and I always had a big box of needles there. For doing, I was jabbing in the bum, and I was working out flat out. I got big, I looked good, but you're exactly right, mate. Just knowing that I had a needle there was just that little trigger, and that I believe was 100% why I went back down that path again.
See, and look, who am I? Please don't anyone, not being judgmental in any way. As I've already said, I'm total abstinence. I don't use a drink or a drug. So for me, steroids would be, I think, very close to being a relapse, especially after experiencing it. But there's proof. So you got out looking good, feeling good, thought I'm going to get on the juice. Next minute, you're fucking shooting up ice. Yep.
Ice and speed as well. Yeah.
Well, there you go, mate.
And I believe too, just because I knew I had that box of needles there, like.
Yeah. Look, it never changes, guys. It's always the exact same thing. And I just want to share this little bit before we go and ask you 2 questions, all right? When people reach out to me, and this is just for our viewers, when people reach out to me and say, Dan, I'm struggling, there's 5 things I can ask you. And it's going to be one. You're missing 1 or 2 of these, or maybe 3, or maybe all 5 of these things. And it's like this. Number 1, the opposite to addiction is connection. Get out of the house. You're at home with the killer. You need to get connected with like-minded people doing good things. So that's number 1, connection. Number 2, I'm a big supporter of the 12-step fellowships meetings. If it's not meetings, who are you connected? Self-help groups. You need to get connected with some therapy, Number 3, I believe a higher power. I do think a higher power has been really good for me. It doesn't have to be God. It doesn't have to be seeing the fucking light. It's just got to be something bigger and better than you. Number 4, get yourself a mentor, a sponsor, somebody who can help guide you along the way. If you're trying to do this alone, you're missing the fucking point. And number 5 is service. The more I give, the more the universe provides. I only keep what I have by giving it away, So have those 5 things: connection, sponsor, higher power, meetings, service. How many of those things are you doing? Anyway, that's just my experience. I love sharing that with people because that's my recipe for recovery. Yeah, just
unreal, mate. Yeah.
All right, Tonksy, two questions. Some words of wisdom, some gold you want to fucking drop here, okay? And secondly, where can people find you? So let's start with, first of all, where can people find you? What are you doing? Promote all your stuff, please.
Righto. So I'm just under Tonksy on TikTok. That's where a lot of my videos and stuff are dropped. That's where I'll get the most traction is on TikTok. So just Tonksy, Tonksy. On Instagram, I am Tonksy Media Podcast. So that's pretty just one word. And on Facebook, mate, it's Braden Tonks. Verified on Facebook and on Insta. So if it's got the blue tick, it's me.
Yeah, and that's a great, and that also means the verification usually means like the first name you type in will be at the top of the list.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So well done, Tonksy. All right, mate. Have you got any gold you want to drop before we go and take a bunch of comments? There's been heaps of comments and questions coming through. Drop your gold for us, Tonksy. Is there anything you'd like to share with the viewers?
Mate, it's pretty self-explanatory, really. At the end of the day, mate, I mean, you know, there's so many people out there that are raising awareness for addiction. You know, don't cheat yourself. Just if it's in front of you, just tell yourself no. Seriously, it's not that hard. I mean, you know, if your friends are doing it, they're fuckwits. They ain't your friends. You know. And look, mate. I mean, I learned the hard way. You know, if I could go back in time, mate, I would have changed a lot of things. You know, but yeah. All I can say is just don't do it in the first place. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, Dan. Like, yeah, because there is no good at the end of it. Definitely, you might feel good for them few moments, mate, but trust me, the downfall is way, way bigger than the fucking climb. That's for sure.
On you, brother. Well done, man. Thanks for sharing your story, mate. Thank you for being so brave and sending love to the family of our mate who you lost. You know, I can't imagine what that's like.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah, so fucking intense. All right, guys. At this point, before I go and start taking some questions, I want to give one more shout out to something that I've been doing, guys. Everything I've been doing for the last 7 years almost has been around Encapsulator. I developed this pretty cool tool allowing individuals to record video messages of love and hope to their future self. We've now transferred that from the original time capsule concept into our video journaling program available on iOS and Android, where you can download it for free, guys. There's a bunch of free programs. You can start talking in a confidential and safe place without any judgment. And the hope is that when you start engaging in our platform and you start talking about some of those issues privately, you'll get it off your chest. And as they say, a problem shared is a problem halved. And once we break down some of those barriers and we talk about our issues, we're way more likely to seek professional help. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to achieve with Encapsulator. I'd also love to give it, and guys, the link, Katie's just dropped the link. You're an absolute legend. The link is in the comments. And lastly, guys, a big special thank you to Kohani for sponsoring this podcast. Season 2 has been sponsored by these legends. Kohani supply NDIS support and support coordination. They are helping you help yourself. So if anyone's on NDIS, you can get in touch with them and they'll help guide you. I'm telling you, Mel and Josh are incredible human beings, and they've got way too much love for their she spends all her time working, so I definitely highly recommend those guys. And now Tonks, I'm going to go through the comments. Can you see comments on your side? Are you on
I can't, mate. Thank God. It probably would have given me a bit of anxiety, I reckon.
I agree. Well, I'm going to try and filter through most, and everyone who has comment, I'm going to do my best. So, Kim, g'day, guys. Awesome. Thank you, Kim. We appreciate you. We've got someone here from St. Louis, Mo. Where's Mo? Today's my 5 months clean. Up you go, Alexa. That'll be in America. Hey, Katie, you MVP, guys. Everyone who's in our Sober Squad community page. Katie is the moderator and the admin. She does so much work to keep that going. Hey, Catherine, thank you very much. Congratulations. Fantastic. Well done. Noel, good morning to you. Noel. Aaron, much love. Aaron, are you talking to me here or to Tonksy? When you say hi, babe, I'm not sure who that comment was for. Haley, legend from Tennessee. Much love, Haley. Thank you for all your continued support. Amanda, we will get to some questions, Tonksy. I'm just going through, trying to acknowledge everyone. Nice. Be strong. Thank you, Angel Wings. Tony says, I can relate to most of this, but I'm 41. I no doubt, Tony, it's all the same, isn't it? You know, like everyone's journey, addiction never really changes. You know, Tiffy, good morning or afternoon. Okay, what do we got? Kath, good morning, Kath. I'm glad you caught us, Megan. Tracy says hi. Hello, Katie. What do we got here? Hello, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you, Laura. Laura.
Thank you.
Guys, good to see you both. Damien says, hey guys, good to see you both. Respect to you fellas on raising awareness. Thank you so much, Damien. And yeah, thank you, Tonksy, for doing
Thanks,
that.
mate.
Man, thank you. Here we go. Wasn't our Loxolone around when this happened, Tonksy? He's talking about the overdose. And thank you for the question, Damien. Do you even know what that is, Tonksy?
Is that the what do we call it? The Narcane?
Naltrexone or Narcane. Yeah. That's the one. Sorry.
Yeah,
It was.
I guess it
wasn't
was,
around.
mate. But
Not the way it is today. Like back then, the ambulances had it, but it certainly wasn't available from your chemist. And anyone out there too, please know that you can go and pick up naloxone nasal spray, and it can just be sprayed up the nose of an overdose victim and bring him back to life in like that.
yeah, that's the ones I've seen. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. Wayne, keep going on with your journey. Keep up the good work, guys. You got this just like me. Okay. Oh, here's one for you, Tonksy. I grew up directly across from Roby, Clarendon Vale.
Clarendon.
You didn't understand.
So basically the same suburb. Yeah. Yeah, mate, they know where I'm talking about then. The hill with the burnt out cars.
Billy, thanks, Billy. Okay, Anna. My name is Anna. What is the best advice you can give someone in the first week of sobriety? Why don't you go ahead and answer that for her, Tonksy? Give her your thoughts on that.
I guess just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Believe in yourself. You know, recovery is real. Yeah, and
Wow.
just stay strong. Just definitely stay strong. You know, when that little voice on your shoulder saying just do it, just don't. In other words, you know, just stay strong. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. The longer you're off it, the easier it gets, I believe.
Yeah, much love, Anna. He's right. It is possible, and it is real. I love that. It is real, eh? Like we didn't think it was real, eh? Hold on tight, Anna. The hard way is the easy way. So if you're looking for the shortcuts, the loopholes, or the backdoor entrances, you'll find yourself back here scratching your head, thinking, "How did I get here?" I think you got to put yourself in the middle. I gave you those 5 things before. I truly believe in all of that stuff. Ty says, "Very brave, Tonksy. Good work, brother." Is he one of your mates? Should be very proud. Sending love from Tassie. Yeah, it is. Thank you, Ty.
Shout out, Ty.
What about this one from Georgie? I'll put this up.
Tonksy,
I've known
I know
your whole
Georgie.
life. Good, bad. You were a CUNT for when you were using, but we all were. I'm fucking proud of you. On you, Georgie. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Georgie. Big love, mate.
And hey, okay, bloody good chat. It certainly was. Hey, Chris, thank you so much. Oh man, there's so
Thanks,
many
Chris.
comments on. Attic Junction. A friggin' man. Amen. Oh, a friggin' man. On your Attic Junction, we appreciate you, Ron. Yes, service is the key to my sobriety. Absolutely, Ron. Katie, thank you for guys. If you do want to check out Encapsulator, you'll find in the link. So you can just go to the App Store and just download Encapsulator. All right, one Tassie boy to another. I'm proud of you, Tonks. Oh,
Who's
Kyle,
that?
do you know Kyle Walker? Do you know him?
Oh, Walker, yeah, mate. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, Kyle's one of my. I remember. Oh, here we go. I remember meeting Tonksy in Dukes at a mutual mate's place. Tonks will know who I'm talking about. Can you see that comment?
But I remember Tonksy walking in with his brother, and I was like, he's tall as fuck, but was such a nice bloke then, and seems to be even better one now. This was, I think, in like 2015. From one Tassie boy to another, mate. I'm proud of you, brother. Shout out, Kyle. Thank you, brother. I do remember that.
Only Cole. Funny you say that then too, because I seen a photo with you and TikTok Gary, and you were fucking like towering over the top of him. Thank you so much. First time watching and caught about the last 15. Hey, Addy Junction, everyone can get this on the replay. And Kim, hang on, last two comments. Michael Rockby was home as a kid. On you, Michelle. Thank you for sharing. And Kim, last comment, good. Are you scared you may have an alcohol addiction? Oh, thanks, Kim. The last comment had to be something like that. Let's answer that. Are you scared you may have an alcohol addiction? Tonksy, what do you say?
100% not. 100% not. Yeah, like I said, it's always just been a social thing with me, mate. Yeah, and I'll still continue to enjoy an occasional beer with the mates. To be completely honest, yeah. At the end of the day, my addiction was ice. Yeah, and I've never been addicted to anything else. So, apart from cigarettes, which I haven't had a cigarette for 3 years. So,
wow, well done. Congrats.
yeah.
All right, guys, everyone, thank you so much for all the support and encouragement. What a great live. Really good chat, Tonksy. Stay there for a moment. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.